A little boy's first day in school, and a teacher was going to play a guessing game. She passed out different items to each of the students and proceeded to ask each student what item they received. When it was the new boy, Jimmy's turn, the teacher gave him a candy kiss and asked him, "Do you know what this is?" The boy replied, "No." The teacher said, "Go ahead and open it up and taste it." He does so, and the teacher asked him, "Now do you know what it is?" Little Jimmy said, "No!" So the teacher said, "I'll give you a hint. It's something your daddy wants from your mommy every morning before he goes to work." Suddenly, a little girl in the back of the class jumps up and screams, "Jimmy, spit it out. It's a piece of ass." Son: "Mom, are there ghosts in the house?" Mom: "I don't think so." Son: "But our maid said so." Mom: "My goodness, we don't have a maid." The mom rushes to her husband. Mom: "Our son said we have a maid when we don't have one." Dad: "But honey, we don't have a son. The dad calls his brother." Dad: "Bro, I think our house is haunted. My wife said we have a son when we never had any." Brother: "But bro, you don't have a wife." The brother felt the chill to his bone. Then he realizes he never had a brother. 11 people were hanging on a rope under a helicopter, 10 men and 1 woman. The rope was not strong enough to carry them all, so they decide that one had to leave, because otherwise they were all going to fall. They weren't able to choose that person until the woman gave a touching speech. She said that she would voluntarily let go of the rope because as a woman, she was used to giving up everything for her husband and kids, or for men in general, and was used to always making sacrifices with little in return. As soon as she finished her speech, all the men started clapping. Hank, a quiet farmer from Willow Creek, had just loaded up his best dairy cow, Daisy, into the trailer hitched to his old red Massey Ferguson tractor. He was cruising down a back road, just minding his business, when out of nowhere a big rig came flying through a stop sign and slammed into the side of his tractor. The impact sent Hank flying into a ditch on one side of the road and poor Daisy into the other. Everything went silent, except for the sound of Daisy moaning in pain. Hank could tell she was hurting bad. A state trooper showed up a few minutes later. He walked over to Daisy first, took one look at her, shook his head, pulled out his pistol, and gently ended her suffering. Then, the officer crossed the road, gun still in hand, and looked down at Hank. "Sir," he said, "how are you feeling?" Hank blinked, looked at the gun, and replied, "Never been better." I asked my wife, "What are the chances I'm getting lucky tonight?" She said, "Spellway." I said, "W-A-Y." She smirked. "You forgot the F." I said, "There's no F in way." She said, "Exactly." I didn't find it too funny. John and David were both patients in a mental hospital. One day, while they were walking, they passed the hospital swimming pool and John suddenly dove into the deep end. He sank to the bottom and stayed there. David promptly jumped in and saved him, swimming to the bottom of the pool and pulling John out. The medical director came to know of David's heroic act. He immediately ordered that David be discharged from the hospital as he now considered him to be okay. The doctor said, "David, we have good news and bad news for you. The good news is that we are going to discharge you because you have regained your sanity. Since you were able to jump in and save another patient, you must be mentally stable. The bad news is that the patient that you saved hung himself in the bathroom and died after all." David replied, "Dr. John didn't hang himself. Elle hung him there to dry." A man goes to the doctor with a long history of migraine headaches. When the doctor does his history and physical, he discovers that the poor guy has tried practically every therapy known to man for his migraines and still no improvement. "Listen," says the doc, "I have migraines too. and the advice I'm going to give you isn't really anything I learned in medical school, but it's advice that I've gotten from my own experience. When I have a migraine, I go home, get in a nice hot bathtub, and soak for a while. Then I have my wife sponge me off with the hottest water I can stand, especially around the forehead. This helps a little. Then I get out of the tub, take her into the bedroom, and even if my head is killing me, I force myself to have sex with her. Almost always, the headache is immediately gone. Now give it a try and come back and see me in 6 weeks. 6 weeks later, the patient returns with a big grin. "Doc, I took your advice, and it works. It really works. I've had migraines for 17 years, and this is the first time anyone has ever helped me." "Well," says the physician, "I'm glad I could help. By the way, Doc," the patient adds, "you have a really nice house." A mild-mannered man was tired of being pushed around by his wife, so he decided to see a psychiatrist. The doctor told him he needed to build his self-esteem and handed him a book on assertiveness. The man read the entire book on his way home. By the time he walked through the front door, he was feeling confident. He stormed into the house, pointed a finger at his wife, and declared, "From now on, I'm the man of this house, and my word is law. Tonight I want a gourmet meal. After that, I expect a delicious dessert. Then you're going to run me a hot bath so I can relax. And when I'm done with my bath, guess who's going to dress me and comb my hair?" Without missing a beat, his wife replied, "The funeral director." An old man gets on a crowded city bus, holding a tiny frog in a glass jar. He finds a seat next to a stunning young woman. She keeps glancing at the frog, trying not to stare. After a few stops and awkward silences, she can't help herself. "Excuse me, sir. What's with the cute little frog?" The old man leans in and says softly, "This frog is special. Does something no man ever could." She laughs. "What's that supposed to mean?" He smirks. "It's trained to please women." Her eyes go wide. "Are you serious?" He nods calmly. She giggles. "That sounds ridiculous." As the bus ride continues, curiosity eats away at her. Finally, she says, "All right, I've got to know how good this frog really is. Can I take him home?" "Sure," the old man replies. "But if there's any problem, just give me a call." Later that night, the woman is lying on her bed, pants off, legs spread, waiting. The frog just sits there, staring. Frustrated, she grabs the phone. "Hello? That frog you gave me. It's doing nothing." The old man sighs. "I'll be right over." Minutes later, he enters the room, sets down his cane, walks over to the bed and lifts the frog. He brings it close to his ear and listens. Then suddenly snaps, "Okay, buddy, one more time. Watch closely, but this is the last time I show you." So, Silly Billy was driving, and he had a door on the roof of his car. A police officer pulled him over. "Police officer, where are you taking this door?" Billy, "Oh, I am taking it to the locksmith." "Police, what? Why?" Billy, "Oh, I lost my key and I need to unlock the lock." Officer laughed a bit and asked police, "What if a thief gets into your house?" Billy, "No one can get in my house. I got the door right here." One sunny morning, a man came back to the cabin after hours of fishing and decided to take a nap. His wife, enjoying the peace, thought she'd take the boat out. Not to fish, just to relax, float, and read her book in the sunshine. She dropped the anchor a short distance from shore and opened her novel. Enter the Lake Patrol officer. He pulled up beside her boat and said, "Good morning, ma'am. Can I ask what you're doing out here?" "Reading," she said without looking up. He raised an eyebrow. "Well, this area is off limits for fishing." "I'm not fishing. I'm reading." "Yes, but you've got a fishing rod, a tackle box, and bait. You could be fishing at any moment." She looked up calmly and replied, "If that's how we're playing this, then if you don't leave, I'll have to report you for harassment." He blinked. "I haven't even touched you." She smiled. "True. But you could at any moment." He left. Quickly. A Catholic priest was on his deathbed in the hospital. He quietly asked the nurse to bring him a Nigerian police officer and a politician. Within minutes, both men arrived and sat on either side of his bed, deeply moved and honored to be called during the priest's final moments. They sat in silence for a while, holding the priest's hands. Eventually, the politician, overcome with curiosity, asked, "Father, why did you choose us?" The priest gathered his remaining strength, took a breath, and said, "Jesus died between two thieves. I want to go the same way." Joey married one of a pair of identical twin girls. Less than a year later, he was in court filing for a divorce. "Okay," the judge said, "tell the court why you want a divorce." "Well, Your Honor," Joey started, "every once in a while my sister-in-law would come over for a visit. And because she and my wife are so identical looking, every once in a while I'd end up making love to her by mistake. Surely there must be some difference between the two women," the judge said. "You'd better believe there's a difference, Your Honor. That's why I want the divorce," he replied. Joey's walking down Main Street when he passes George, and George looks frantic. "Joey! Joey, you gotta help me," says George. "Why? What's wrong?" "It's Phil. He's suicidal. You gotta go talk to him. He just got a job at the new soda pop bottling plant, and it's ruining him." So Joey rushes down the soda pop plant to talk to Phil. "Phil, what's wrong?" "I just saw Joey, and he said you were really upset by your new job." "What? I don't know why he'd say that. I saw him earlier today, and he told me I was doing a great job crushing cans. I told him it's easy, it's just soda pressing." I attended a birthday party with about 30 people in attendance. I got there early, so naturally I sat right at the front. Soon, a lady started sharing food, but she began from the back. By the time she got close to the front where I was, it was all gone. No problem. Another lady came out with drinks. This time, she started from the front. But unfortunately, I had just moved to the back, hoping to catch the next round of food. Again, nothing for me. At this point, I was frustrated. I stood up, ready to leave. But just then, 3 ladies walked in, each holding a big bowl. I thought, this is it. Round 3. Time to be smart. So I sat exactly in the middle, ready to catch whatever came my way. One of the ladies began serving from the front, another from the back. They were both handing out fried turkey, big, golden, juicy pieces. As they got closer to the middle, where I was, I smiled in anticipation. But, you guessed it, it finished just before reaching me. Again. Defeated, I put my face in my hands and sighed. But then, hope. The third lady tapped me gently on the shoulder and smiled. She stretched her bowl toward me, and I lit up with excitement. I reached in, expecting turkey at last. Guess what was in the bowl? Toothpicks. One day, little Johnny looked up at his dad and asked, "Dad, can I get a $200 bike for my birthday?" His father sighed and shook his head. "Sorry, Johnny. We're still paying off an $80,000 mortgage. Maybe we can think about it for Christmas." Christmas came, and Johnny tried again. "Dad, how about that bike now?" Another heavy sigh. "I wish I could, son, but the mortgage is still draining us." A couple of days later, Johnny was spotted near the front door, dragging a suitcase behind him. His dad stopped him. "Whoa there, buddy, where do you think you're going?" Johnny crossed his arms and huffed. "Well, last night I heard you tell Mom you were pulling out." Then she said, "Wait, I'm coming too. And I'll be damned if I'm the only one left behind with an $80,000 mortgage." Johnny asks his dad how a country runs. His dad thinks and replies, "Well, it's like this. I earn the money in the house, so I'm the rich. Your mom takes care of running the home, so she is the government. The maid is the working class, and your baby brother is the future. And finally, you, Johnny, are the average citizen." That night, Johnny is woken up by his baby brother's cries. He goes to the crib and notices that his brother has soiled his diapers. He runs to his mom and finds her fast asleep. He then goes to the maid's room and finds her in bed with his father. He returns to his bed. The next day, Johnny tells his dad that he has the working of a country all figured out. His dad asks him to explain. "A country is where an average citizen can't get proper sleep, as the rich are the working class, the government is fast asleep, and the future is all shitty," Johnny explains. Several men were in the locker room of the gym when a cell phone on a bench rang, and a man put it on speaker and begins to talk. Everyone in the room stopped to listen. Man: "Hello." Woman: "Hi, honey, it's me. Are you at the club?" Man: "Yes." Woman: "I'm at the shops now and found this beautiful leather coat. It's only $2,000. Is it okay if I buy it?" Man: "Sure, go ahead if you like that much." Woman: "I also stopped by the Lexus dealership and saw the new models. I saw one that I really liked." Man: "How much?" Woman: $90,000. Man: "Okay, but for that price I want it with all options." Woman: "Great. Oh, and one more thing. I was just talking to Jane and found out that the house I wanted last year is back on market. They are asking $980,000 for it." Man: "Well, then go ahead and offer $900,000. They'll probably take it. If not, we can go to the extra $80,000 if that's what you really want." Woman: "Okay. See you later. I love you too much." Man: "Bye. I love you too." The man hung up. The other men in the locker room were staring at him in astonishment, mouths wide open. He turned and asked, "Anyone knows whose phone is this?" "Phone is..." After enduring a blind date for what felt like an eternity, the man decided he couldn't handle another minute. Earlier, he had secretly set up an emergency call from a friend, just in case he needed an excuse to leave. When he returned to the table, he put on a somber face, lowered his gaze, and said, "I have some bad news. My grandfather just passed away." His date immediately sighed with relief and replied, "Thank goodness. If yours hadn't, mine would have had to." Oh, the relief was mutual. A woman in her mid-40s went to a plastic surgeon to discuss getting a facelift. The surgeon, eager to show her the latest advancement, introduced a revolutionary procedure called the button. This small button is placed at the top of a woman's head, and with a simple twist, it tightens the skin, providing an instant facelift effect. Naturally, the woman was intrigued and decided to go for the button. Over the years, she turned it every now and then, and it kept her looking fresh, youthful, and rejuvenated. But after 15 years of using it, she came back to the surgeon, looking a bit distressed. "Doctor," she said, "I love the results, but I'm having two problems. First, I have these awful bags under my eyes, and no matter how many times I turn the button, they don't go away." The doctor took a close look at her and then said, "Well, those aren't bags. Those are your knees." The woman blinked, paused for a second, and sighed. Great. I guess I'm not even going to bother asking about the double chin. St. Peter versus Satan, the ultimate office showdown. They had been arguing for days. Who was better at getting things done, St. Peter or Satan? God had finally had enough. "Enough!" he thundered. "I'm giving you both a 2-hour computer test. Whoever does the best work wins." So they sat down at their keyboards. They typed, they clicked. Spreadsheets, emails, presentations, Photoshop, genealogy charts, even greeting cards. They did it all. Then, 10 minutes before time was up, boom! Lightning, thunder, power outage, total darkness. When the lights came back on, Satan was furious. "My files! My work! It's all gone!" But St. Peter, he just calmly hit print. Satan screamed, "That's not fair! How did he still have everything?" God smiled and said, "Saint, Peter saves." A man walks out to the street and catches a taxi just going by. He gets into the taxi and the cabbie says, "Wow, perfect timing. You're just like Frank." The passenger asks, "Who?" The cabbie explains, "Frank Feldman. He's a guy who did everything right all the time. Like when I came along just when you needed a cab, things happen like that to Frank Feldman every single time." The passenger remarked, "There are always a few clouds over everybody." Not Frank Feldman. He was a terrific athlete. He could have won the Grand Slam at tennis, he could golf with the pros, he sang like an opera baritone and danced like a Broadway star, and you should have heard him play the piano. He was an amazing guy. The passenger said, "Sounds like he was really something special." The cabbie replied, "There's more." He had a memory like a computer. He remembered everybody's birthday. He knew all about wine, which foods to order and which fork to eat them with. He could fix anything, not like me. I change a fuse and the whole street blacks out. But Frank Feldman could do everything right. The passenger was amazed. "Wow, what a guy." The cabbie continued, "He always knew the quickest way to go in traffic and avoid traffic jams. Not like me, I always seem to get stuck in them. But Frank, he never made a mistake. And he really knew how to treat a woman and make her feel good. He would never answer her back even if she was in the wrong. And his clothing was always immaculate. Shoes highly polished, too. He was the perfect man. He never made a mistake. No one could ever measure up to Frank Feldman." Passenger: "How did you meet him?" Cabbie: "I never actually met Frank. He died, and I married his wife." A man was selling watermelons at the market. His sign read, "1 for $3 or 3 for $10. A young man approached, stared at the sign for a moment, and then grinned. Trying to be clever, he bought 1 watermelon at a time, 3 separate purchases, paying $9 total. As he walked away, feeling smug, he turned back and said, "Hey, old man, I just got 3 watermelons for $9 instead of 10. Maybe selling watermelons isn't your thing." The old man smiled, nodded politely, and muttered under his breath, "People are funny. I get them to buy 3 watermelons instead of 1, and they think they're the ones winning." A bodybuilder was admiring himself in the mirror and noticed he had a perfect tan. Everywhere, except a certain private area. Determined to even it out, he went to the beach, got creative, and buried himself in the sand, leaving just a small part exposed to the sun. A little while later, 2 elderly ladies were walking along the beach when they spotted something strange sticking out of the sand. One of the ladies poked it gently with her cane, squinted, and said, "There's just no justice in this world." Her friend asked, "Why do you say that?" The lady replied, "Well, when I was 20, I was curious. At 30, I enjoyed life. At 40, I knew what I wanted. At 50, I was still hopeful. At 60, I was patient. At 70, I stopped caring. And now I'm 80. And they're growing wild on the beach, and I can't even bend down to pick one." Student: "Sir, can I ask a question?" Teacher: "Yes." Student: "How do you put an elephant inside a fridge?" Teacher: "I don't know." Student: "It's easy. You just open the fridge and put it in. I have another question." Teacher: "Okay, ask." Student: "How to put a donkey inside the fridge?" Teacher: "It's easy. You just open the fridge and put it in." Student. No, sir. You just open the fridge, take out the elephant, and put it in. Teacher. Ooh, okay. Student. Let me ask another one. If all the animals went to the lion's birthday party and one animal went missing, which one would it be? Teacher. The lion, of course, because it would eat all the animals. Student. No, sir. It is the donkey because it's still inside the fridge. Teacher. Are you kidding me? Student. No, sir. One last question. Teacher. Okay. Student. If there's a river full of crocodiles and you wanted to cross, how would you? Teacher. There's no way. I would need a boat to cross. Student. No, sir. You just swim and cross it because all the animals went to the lion's birthday party, including the crocodile. Teacher. I have my own question. If all the students come to school except one person, who is the person? Student. No idea, sir. Teacher. It's you because you are on 2-week suspension for giving me headache. Yesterday, my daughter emailed me again, asking why I didn't do something useful with my time. Like sitting around the pool and drinking wine is not a good thing, I asked. Talking about my doing something useful seems to be her favorite topic of conversation. She was only thinking of me, she said, and suggested that I go down to the senior center and hang out with the fellows. I did this, and when I got home last night, I decided to play a prank on her. I emailed her and told her that I had joined a parachute club. She replied, "Are you nuts? You are 84 years old and now you're going to start jumping out of airplanes?" I told her that I even got a membership card and emailed a copy to her. She immediately telephoned me and yelled, "Good grief, Dad, where are your glasses? This is a membership to a prostitute club, not a parachute club." "Oh man, I'm in trouble again," I said. "I really don't know what to do. I signed up for 5 jumps a week." The line went dead. A guy is doing 90 in a 75 and sees lights from a patrol car in the mirror. He thinks furiously for a moment and then floors it. 95, 100, 110. Finally, with the officer still hot on his tail, he slows to a crawl and pulls over to the roadside. The officer, obviously on edge, cautiously approaches the car as the man rolls down the window and places hands out where they can easily be seen. "You were going a little fast there," the officer says. "But it is the end of my shift. And tonight the boys are coming over for beers and cards. So you have exactly 1 chance to explain yourself." The man, with all the sincerity he could muster, replied, "Sir, round about a year ago, my wife left me for a state trooper. I tell you, that nag leaving was the best thing that ever happened to me, and I knew it was too good to be true because when I saw your lights in the rear view, I could have sworn you were bringing her back." The officer paused for a moment and said, "Have a nice day and drive safe." A young Catholic couple tragically dies in a car accident on their way to get married. Moments later, they find themselves at the pearly gates, waiting for St. Peter. While sitting there, the bride turns to the groom and asks, "Do you think we can still get married in heaven?" When St. Peter shows up, they ask him. He scratches his head and says, "Huh, no one's ever asked that before. Let me check." And he disappears. Weeks pass, then months. The couple starts wondering, do we really want to do this for eternity? What if it doesn't work out? Are we stuck married forever? Finally, after 3 months, St. Peter comes back looking exhausted. "Good news," he says. "You can get married in heaven." The couple cheers. Then the groom hesitantly asks, "Okay, but what if it doesn't work out? Can we get a divorce in heaven too?" St. Peter turns red, throws his clipboard down, and yells, "Oh, come on! It took me 3 months to find a priest up here. Do you have any idea how long it'll take to find a lawyer?" I've officially reached the age where I have more questions than answers. And honestly, I'm not sure we're ever getting to the bottom of any of them. Like, seriously, who did let the dogs out? Where is the beef? How do you get to Sesame Street, and why hasn't Waze figured it out yet? And while we're at it, why doesn't Dora just use Google Maps and call it a day? Why are eggs packed in the flimsiest little paper carton? But batteries, sealed in plastic that requires tools, strength, and a minor surgery to open? Why is abbreviated such a long word? And why does putting on mascara require opening your mouth like you're catching flies? Why does lemon juice have artificial flavor, but dish soap is made with real lemons? Who's in charge of this madness? Why do they sterilize the needle before a lethal injection? I mean, come on now. Why do we put in our 2 cents, but only get a penny for your thoughts? Where's the missing penny going? And why, I ask you, do the alphabet song and Twinkle Twinkle Little Star have the same exact tune? Yeah, I bet you just sang both in your head, gotcha. And don't even get me started on Victoria's Secret. Whatever it is, she's still not telling. So yeah, I may be older, but clearly I'm not done wondering. Feel free to add your own mystery below. Maybe together we'll solve at least one thing before dinner. It all began with an innocent lunch. Or at least it seemed innocent, until I devoured 3 full plates of beans, fully aware of the risk I was taking. But they were so delicious, who could resist? Later that evening, I arrived home to find my husband waiting at the door, grinning from ear to ear. "Darling, I have a surprise for you tonight," he announced, nearly bursting with excitement. Intrigued, I played along. He took my hand, gently blindfolded me, and led me to the dining table. I was giggling like a child, thinking, this is going to be fun. Just as he was about to remove the blindfold, the phone rang. "Promise me you won't peek until I get back," he said, before hurrying off to answer the call. I nodded obediently. And that's when disaster began to brew. Those 3 plates of beans. Oh, they had clocked in and were hard at work. My stomach began to churn like a washing machine on high spin. The pressure was mounting. I held my breath. I clenched. I prayed. But physics doesn't negotiate. The moment he left the room, I couldn't hold it any longer. I shifted slightly in the chair and let one go. Loud. Like a trumpet solo from the pits of hell. And the smell? Imagine a dumpster fire in a field of rotten onions. Multiply it by 10. It was apocalyptic. Panic-stricken, I grabbed my napkin and started waving it in the air like I was putting out flames, hoping to dilute the stench. Emboldened by the temporary relief and silence, I shifted to the other side and unleashed 3 more. Each one worse than the last. The kind of gas that could clear a stadium. For several blissful, gas-filled minutes, I let loose. It was liberating. My stomach calmed. My soul soared. But all good things must come to an end. From the other room, I heard my husband say goodbye and hang up the phone. Panic set in. I fanned the air furiously, trying to erase every trace of what had just happened. I folded my hands neatly in my lap and pasted on the most innocent smile I could manage. My husband returned, still beaming. "You didn't peek, did you?" "Of course not," I replied sweetly. He reached down, untied the blindfold, and then, surprise! The blindfold came off, and I was greeted by 12 dinner guests seated around the table. 12 horrified faces, 12 hands clasped over noses, and a chorus of forced, wheezy voices yelling, "Happy birthday!" I could have died right then and there. And that, my friends, is how beans ruined my birthday and my reputation.